or anything like that. We want it to come from a personal cell phone. So she's treating it like it's coming from Nick Burns. And then on the confirmation text, she's going to say he's going to be calling you from this number, which is his personal cell number. So.
Yeah, perfect, man. I tell you what, it's like we talked about. We got the texting thing down. I mean, again, we have 12 and 13-year-olds of agents that are booking their appointments up because it is just, they don't overthink it. Just copy, paste, and nothing fancy, just text and use the text that we have in the template. If you're not having success with that, you just need to text more because we're seeing success across all lead types. We're seeing people, Nick, I think you told me about it. We're seeing people book appointments on the uncompleted IVRs, the incomplete IVRs.
Yeah.
Where the person what they did was they started the automation. So when you have an IVR, you have a phone number to call into, and they go through some automated questions, which helps make it a stronger lead, right? They're talking about their age, their health, and it ends with them entering their phone number for the agent to contact them on. But at some point during that process, they bailed on it. So it was not completed. But we have agents that are using the text and booking appointments on those leads even. So it doesn't matter the lead type. What matters is the activity, like we always talk about. So let's do this, Nick. I want to bring on our buddy Mike Hall. Mike Hall is going to do some co-hosting with me today. And we're going to get after this morning. You ready to roll? Still hear me okay? Mike Hall, you hear me okay?
What's up, Rum Paul? Hey, man, happy birthday.
Thanks, buddy.
And congratulations on little Turner.
Hey, I know, man. Another one here. I tell you what, it's cool to have one born around your birthday, but it's also cool just to have that fourth grandson now. I can't wait. I told Nick, I said, hey, man, when those boys are all at their rowdiest, I'm going to take one of my calls and drop them off. Like Mike will have some fun for the day. The problem is, but putting one with Mike, it'd be like adding a fifth one in there. Mike would be right in it with him. I go, man, they're all messed up. I thought I was going to give Mike a headache. Mike's loving it too much.
Absolutely. Throw me in the mix.
Yeah. Hey, so let's do this. Let's go ahead and bring our coaches, Heather, and then let's talk about the transition from the needs analysis into showing the options. And then we're gonna visit with Patrick Bailey. Patrick is just running into some challenges and said, hey, listen, I need some help. So whenever I say, hey, raise your hand if you need help, don't do it on the Zoom because I can't see those. I just see something pop up saying hand raise or something. I can't see them. Raise your hand meaning, hello, I need help here. Put it in the chat, reach out to your manager like Kite did. He reached out to me and said, hey, this guy really needs some help. Can you help him out? So we're going to help him today. Hello, coaches. Marcia, Nicole, how are you? Can you guys, are you muted?
I'm great.
There you go. Okay, you guys ready to do some coaching? Okay, let me ask you this. Marcia, are you using the needs analysis? Or something similar to that where you're asking the questions?
I have middle format that I'm going down. It's right in front of me so I don't fall off course.
Right. Okay, so yeah, because you've done it enough, you can do it in your sleep. So let me ask you this. When you get to that part where you've gone through that needs analysis, you've gathered that information, and how do you then transition into showing the options? Is there something you say to transition, but talk about how you transition?
Say, well, you know what, just to make sure that if I understand correctly, what I'm hearing you say is, and then I go back to, maybe they don't need a living benefits. They're looking more at making sure that Betty and the kids can stay in the house if Bob, the sole breadwinner, dies. So I just say, so it's my understanding you're looking more for that. Is that correct? And if they're like, yeah, that's exactly what I'm looking for, then we go there. If it's not, then I clarify a little bit so that I understand. Because if I don't know what they want, I shouldn't show them anything.
Right. So let me ask you, when you start to transition to those options, I want to get an idea of what you're doing there. Are you pulling up like 15 different companies and running quotes? Or you got your one or two that you go with? Tell us what that looks like. I get a lot of questions on that.
I've just got a couple of companies that I know work well with us, Foresters, Americo, that type of thing. So if it's a family with young kids and I'm going to be covering both of them, orphan benefits are kind of a no-brainer. That's what I did with my kids. They have CF. They're uninsurable, but if something happened to Thomas and I, $900 per month per kid, hello, it's kind of what else would you be thinking? So just find out what do they need, what do they got, what do they want, and then when I'm reiterating that, then I know. I love my Foresters. I love my Americo. They're both good. You just, golly, they covered a a very fluffy diabetic for me on insulin that 2 years ago they would have thrown out the door. And they embraced him as a standard. I was like, shh, God is good. And our quoting software tool is amazing.
I'm glad you brought that up. So talk about the quoting software tool. You're utilizing that. So I want everyone to know, if you're brand new, the coaches that we have on here every day, these are the best of the best when it comes to virtual. They're getting it done. That's why we select them as coaches. So it's just not anyone who says, I write a couple apps a week. These are the best of the best that you're getting advice from. So that's why it's so important, Mike, to ask your questions here, because you're asking every day. You get the opportunity to ask the best of the best. Hey, what am I doing wrong? Or how do you do this? Talk about that quoting software.
For example, I had an agent call me up and they're like, the guy's in a walker. And so I just went to the tools and I said, walker. And it told me who's going to take a person with a walker. I was like, oh, that's brilliant. Okay. So it doesn't have to be doing the whole list. Sometimes there's one medicine I don't know. I might Google it, but I'm not the underwriter. So I went and I put in that one thing. Americo said, don't even talk to me. But Forrester said, come on in. And so we wrote them up and got them protected without having to get any kick out. I just do the companies I'm using primarily. I kick out all the others. So it's just going to show the ones I use. Don't get yourself, keep it simple. Chocolate or vanilla.
Yeah. The quoting software she's talking about is the underwriting toolkit. It's on, I want to say, step 4 on the 8 steps. It's part of the toolkit. It may be even on step 3 when Connor goes through it, but I think Pete goes through it in details on the trainings through step 4, if I'm not mistaken. So go there and look for the underwriting toolkit. You create a login for it so that you got your own login and utilize it. It'll tell you what, based on the information you input. Remember, the information that you put in there is important, because based on the information you put in there, it's going to suggest to you, these are the companies or product they qualify for. So that's what Marsha's using. She's not trying to, just say, I'm going to just swing this one and just see what happens. I'm just going to aim for the fence and see what happens. She's not doing that. She's saying, I'm going to utilize the tool to guide me in the right direction. And the person that just asked the question about the orphan riders, go look at Forrester's benefits, all their benefits. They got a ton of incredible benefits. Go look at all the benefits they have for their clients when you're a policyholder.
I learned something new today. That's all I write is Forrester's. I don't know anything about their orphan benefits.
Really? Okay, here's your cliff notes. Let's say you go out on a date night and you don't make it home, or you're in a car accident. You got all the kids in the back of the car, but they hit you head on, and you guys don't live, but the kids do. This will pay $900 per month per child, whether they're foster, step, biological, adopted, as long as they are your legal kids, or even if you're a grandparent, if they're legally yours and you both pass, it's going to give them orphan benefits until they're 18. But wait, then they'll give up to $24,000 to an accredited college. Wow. And there's no extra charge. That's beautiful. My kids could get no insurance. And this is just like, thank you, Jesus. I know if something happens to me, my babies are not going to be ill-treated, because there's plenty of money to make sure it doesn't impede whoever's taking care of them. That is just like amazing. And it's just a bonus. And okay, you don't want to vomit on them all this information. Go do the whole policy and then go, oh, by the way, did I mention? If they would have a free will. As I'm closing up, I don't tell them that in the big part. I'm like, oh, do y'all have a will? And they're like, no. And I'm like, oh, did you know you can have a free one? And it'll you just like TurboTax, you fill it out, spits it out, you get it notarized, and boom, you're in business. It's brilliant. But you don't tell them all that up front. You just do it regular. As you get pushback, then you go, oh, do you happen to have blah, blah, blah? Always ask questions. They're going to lean float. No, I don't. What about that? Boom. You got another, always be closing, a little safety there. I love Foresters for that.
Go on the website and look at the benefits. I see some people asking about, both parents, whatever. Go on the website and check it out, so you firsthand, you have knowledge of their benefits. And no, this is not a paid advertisement for Foresters. She's really passionate about it, right? Because they're incredible benefits. They're absolutely incredible. No one else offers these type of benefits that are included with the policy. Okay.
I actually called on somebody one of my people I called on, and she was a twin whose mom was a drug addict. They didn't know that she had the policy. The mom overdosed, and the twins got the benefit. I met someone who really got it.
Wow.
Right there in Statesville, North Carolina. I was like, oh my gosh, it's not just a good thing, it works. So, okay, now I'm done. Go on.
Forrester app count's going up today, buddy. Thank you, Marcia. That's incredible. So, guys, go check it out. You see how excited she is. I mean, it's something to be excited about. No one else has those type of benefits. But here's what's cool. Nick Burns said, I didn't know about those. You know why? Because Nick Burns is just going. He's just going, I'm just going. So those are the additional benefits. So go check them out. Okay. So underwriting toolkit, it's also, yes, thank you for whoever sent that. Reminded me, it's also on the dashboard when you log in. Underwriting toolkit. Make sure you're utilizing that. Help you get good. Listen, you want to get as many policies as possible when you send them through, placed and approved. You don't want to throw a bunch of stuff in there, a bunch of junk in there, and you get a bunch of stuff declined. It's not good for you. It's not good for the company. It's not good for the client. So utilize the tools that we have. Okay, so you're transitioning and showing the options. You're showing the options based on what they said they're going to do in terms of staying in the home or whatever. Is that what I'm getting? Yep.
Absolutely. You just check and see what do they got, and then if you're not clear on what they want or what they need, then do not show numbers.
Right.
If they're saying, well, show me both and I'll give it to you. Okay, I will, but keep it simple. Chocolate and vanilla. Don't give them 6 from this one and 6 from that one. I just say, there's flexibility here. We can start out, you can go down to a starter package, but would you agree it's better to have some level of protection that you can increase down the road?
Yep.
When they're going, oh, I don't know, blah, blah, blah. We can get you at the starter package. And you cut whatever you gave them in half. Keep it simple. It took me a while to figure this part out. This is the secret sauce, keeping it simple.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, otherwise they're going to get way confused because they don't know about this stuff, right? They're not the licensed person. Nick, talk real quick about, since we're here at this spot, talk about what changed your business when you started changing your thought process on it's not what it is, it's what it does. Talk about, you mentioned one last week about the lady gave a $20,000 death benefit to, and she needed something for cremation for her husband. But talk about, it wasn't the $20,000. Talk about how you presented it to her.
Yeah, so she was the one that said, look, I don't think we can afford it. I think we're too old for it. I said, well, just give me an opportunity. I want to share, if you can get approved, and then I'll just show you the options. And it just become a budget issue after that. Matter of fact, I had one call me this morning from a text from yesterday. Said, how long is this going to take? I got to go to work at 1 o'clock. I said, look, Barbara, I said, all I want to do is just see if you get approved. Then I'll show you the options. Then it just become a budget issue after that. So if I'm very casual, very relaxed about it, they're like, okay, well, we'll see what he's got to say. So with this lady, I told her, I said, I set the appointment, okay? And as I'm going through the needs analysis, they have $10,000 only on her husband with Lincoln Heritage. So in my world that I come from door knocking and being on the streets, Lincoln Heritage, very familiar with it. It's the most expensive final expense product in the country, but they do more business than anybody in the country. So think about that, all right?
Yeah.
But it's the most expensive on the street, so that's all she had on her. So in the back of my mind, I'm like, all right, I know I can beat the rate. I'm going to do my full presentation. I'm going to show them what it is. It's not what it is; it's what it's going to do for them. And when I did that, I did a 10, all right, which would have been a year's worth of payments. No, it would have been a little over 2 years worth of payments. Then a 15 would have been 3, and then the 20, because the payment was $4,000 in change a year. Okay, so I asked her. I said, "Why do you have this 10 on?" And she said, "Well, I got it for cremation." So how much do you think cremation is going to be? She said, around $3,500. I said, that's about right. So I led it up. Okay, I always lead up. The reason I like to lead up is because I don't want to shell shock them with a big premium initially. All right, and if they hear that, they're gone. So I like to start low. So I start low and I'll work my way up to whatever that higher amount's going to be, whether it's full mortgage protection payoff or whether it's the highest that I'm going to show them on my 3 options. Always, always, always do 3 options. It's like Carlos Bastardo said yesterday, they're going to choose that middle one. It's a psychological deal. They're going to choose that middle one. But I worked my way up. So I did the 10, I did the 15, and then I did the 20. And when I got to the 20, I stopped. And I said, what this 20 is going to do, it's going to give you that $3,500 you need for cremation. But what it's also going to do, because I'd already asked the question about what is she going to do when he passes? Is she going to stay in the house? She said, well, I want to stay in the house. I just don't know if I'm going to have the funds to do it. So I said, this 3,500 is going to go towards cremation. This other 16 and change, it's going to keep you in the house for 4 years. That way you're going to have plenty of time to decide on what you want to do. You've got all this equity, because they have like 80 grand worth of equity. I said, you've got all this equity. I said, but this is going to give you time. I said, you may walk around that house and you may see him everywhere you go. And you may decide, I don't want to be in this house. I know you're saying now that you want to be in it, but you may walk around and say, I don't want to be here because everywhere I go, I see him. You know what? She started bobbing her head just like that. She said, let's do that one. It was like a no-brainer. So you got to get to the human aspect of the sale. It's not I was taught early on that mortgage protection was transactional. It was very transactional. You know, it was like taking orders. And it's all about who you listen to. It was the complete opposite. It is an emotional sale. It is very emotional, you know. So, it's really getting into, hitting that human aspect, that human element of what it's going to do for them, to be able to stay in that home. So, asking those questions, that's the question I ask. I don't ask a lot of questions, but that is the question that I focused on is, what are you going to do if he passes away? Are you going to stay in this house? So I think that if you really hone in on making sure them to really think about what they're going to do, because understand they don't have the funds, then you show them the options, and it's just a budget issue after that. Make it a budget issue after that. Do everything you can in your presentation to be like Marcia, to be like Nicole, to be very methodical through your whole presentation to get to the end, to where you did your job, to where all it becomes and all you believe is it's just a budget issue. And even say that when you show the options. Even say, all right, here are the options. You know your budget a whole lot better than I do, Scott. Just let me know which one fits your budget. And sit back. Do not say a word. If you start talking, you'll screw it up. Sit back and do not say a word. You'll sit there for a long time sometimes. Do not speak. Wait. Wait for them to say something. They're waiting for you to have that hook, line, and sinker, get them out, because they know they want it, right? They know they need it. All right. And only do that on people that you're passionate about, that you know in your heart that they need the coverage.
Yeah, that's real important, Nick. Thank you. Here's the reason you don't say anything. It's not a sales trick. It's letting them process it. They're trying to process, okay, 4 years worth of mortgage payments that would allow me to do the cremation. They're processing it. As they're processing that, if you say something, it interrupts it. So it breaks their processing, and now they just go, I'm going to have to think about it. Because you didn't give them a chance to think about it. They're thinking through it. They're processing it, going, okay, is 4 years enough? What would I do? Okay, that would give me 4 years, so I wouldn't have to worry about it for a while. They're processing it. And anytime you start to speak because you think they're going to say no, you interrupt that process, and they go, now I have to think about it further. So let me just think about it, because I got to go process it because you won't let me. Let them process it. And to Nick's point, you got to make sure, if he just said, here's 20,000, she would have said, no, I already got 10. See, it wasn't that. It's when Nick said, it's not the 20,000, but let me tell you what it does for you. This is going to give you that money that you want for cremation, that 3,500. And she goes, okay. And it's going to give you 4 years worth of mortgage payments, because you said your mortgage payments annually are about $4,000 a year or so. So it's going to give you 4 years. And she goes, okay, that makes sense. Okay, it's going to give me 4 years worth of mortgage payments. I don't have to worry about paying the payments. I'm not going to lose the house, and I'm going to have the money for cremation. Yep, that's
if
what
she died accidentally, it's 8 years. Wow.
Yes. Yeah. So just let them process that, but that's what it's doing for them. That's real important. I think we got to nail that down. It's not what it is. It's what does it do for them? Because he said the first one is going to give you, what was it, like 2 years? The second one's going to give you 3 years. The third one's going to give you 4 years. Yes, Marcia.
I don't usually say it's 20,000. I say what it'll do for them. I said, this is 4 years and your cremation. But if heaven forbid you die accidentally, it's 8 years covered. Wow. Can you imagine how the house value would be? That's going to be like $100,000 at least to your kids to pay this little payment to make sure you get that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, make sure you get that equity out of it. Yeah.
I don't say the big dollar amount usually because it freaks them out. I keep it in, that'll just be a couple bucks a day, like $2 a day or $1 a day. Because if they're older, they like hearing it like that. That makes sense to them.
Yeah. So this is what the important part is. There's two pieces that I think we're missing as a whole. And if we can get these two pieces down, my call, we're going to 2,000 apps a week. It's asking the question, would you stay in the home? You got to find out. You got to, because otherwise they're just thinking, this is just another bill. No, I wouldn't stay in the home, because they got to hear it for the first time because they've never talked about this. And so you've got to present them with an option like Nick did. She said, I don't want to stay in the home. We can get you 2 years worth of mortgage payments, 3 years, or 4 years worth of mortgage payments, and the cremation. Which one do you think would give you enough time? But you got to find that out, because otherwise, what are you presenting to? If you don't know if you're going to stay in the house or not, what am I presenting to? I'm just throwing numbers out there. Here's full payoff. Here's half payoff. Well, what does that do for me? You know what they think? Half payoff sucks. It's only paid half it off. No. You may present a number that's half payoff, but here's what it is. It's what does it do? It gives them the money if they want to stay in the house, a big chunk of money that they can call the mortgage company and say, if I was to send you $150,000 towards my mortgage, which right now is $250,000, and I'd applied that to my mortgage, how much would it reduce my payments down? Reduce my payments so that now I can afford to stay in the house without my spouse's income. See, that's what it does for them. And too often we're just throwing out a number, go half payoff, and they go, that sucks, man. I want full payoff for nothing.
What makes it stupid cheap? It's like cheaper than rent. And I say, if someone showed up on my front porch with $500, I've invited them in for coffee. You give me $150. I mean, I'm not saying that's just exciting, So yes. You have to say, if I showed up on your door without the full payoff, if I showed up with $150,000, Nick, would you be mad at me? And there's only 1 out of like 30 that says yes, and I think, well, you're a jackass. But I don't say that. I just go, okay.
Yeah. Okay, good stuff. All right, you ready? Here, let's bring on Patrick, and let's see if we can help Patrick out. We got Patrick coming up, Mike.
What are you doing, Pip? Huh?
Drum roll, Patrick.
All right, Patrick. Hey, buddy. Here, let me get you.
There we go.
There you go.
Hello.
Hey, so tell us where you're running some challenges. So I think you're getting some no-shows. You're getting sitting on a lot, but not helping as many as you should. Is that kind of where you're at in a nutshell?
More so, the ones I do start talking to, I'm jumping too much into the pricing right away and not building the rapport, and I'm having difficulty with that. Whereas, I remember being in the homes, it was a lot easier. On here, the ones I do build rapport on, I'm getting sales. I had, you talked about yesterday, the 20%, 60, 20%. Well, the 60%, this week I've had at least 4 or 5 that I knew I could have sold. It's just I wasn't building rapport, and it just as soon as it was over, I was frustrated. Like I knew I could have had it. They needed it. It was just, let me think about it. And I'm not getting control of the call.
Okay. Nicole, questions?
I mean, that was one of my challenges as well, is not slowing down. And I think the biggest thing is slowing down. And even if you have to write it down on a piece of paper on how you want to go through that call, but definitely in the first 2 minutes when you're getting that client on video, that is when I start asking questions. So what part of Denver are you in? Oh, I'm down in Parker. I find something to connect without even seeing the client. And I think that is so important. And then, with the close, just like Nick said, after you show those options, if somebody says they want to think about it, I had somebody last night that said, I think I want to think about that. And I said, well, we've already decided that this is important and you need it. And she said, yes. And I said, so we just need to find something that works in your budget. I gave her 3 more options and she chose the highest one. So I wasn't going to just accept that it didn't fit, that she was going to think about it. I said, no, let's go ahead and see if we can get you coverage tonight, but let's just find something that is more manageable something's better than nothing. And I said, do you want to go ahead and grab your license? And it was late. It was like 7:45, 8 o'clock. And that's kind of late for me. I'm like ready to get on with my night. So I said, just grab your license. Let's just move forward. And she did. And that's typically how I handle that. I just kind of go back and take control and find the number that's going to work for them.
Okay, you said something real important. So you showed them the options, and then you say what when she picks the top one? How do you transition then into the app?
Transition.
Grab your license.
So yeah, I say, if it's okay with you, since it's late, and she's like, yeah, you're working late. And I'm like, yeah, if you don't mind, I'm going to go ahead and start the application. Go ahead, grab your license, and I'll start this, and we'll just whip through this real quick. And she goes, okay, no problem. You got to get me out of bed. And she literally got out of bed to get her license, and it was done in 15 minutes, and we were on with our night. But in the difference of her having to think about it was $7 a month. That was it. I mean, it was so
wow.
silly. So I'm just being persistent and saying, well, let's hang on a second. We've already said that if you were to pass away, your daughters would not be able to stay in this home. There's $300,000 in equity. This is important. And I'm big on living benefits. So I talk a lot about living benefits, and some of the things I say is, what's going to happen if something happens to you? And this particular lady, her income wasn't high. I want to say it was about $2,900 a month. She was a custodian for the schools. But I said, what you have to really think about is you now have this mortgage payment. If something was to happen to you, who's going to help you with your mortgage? You need just a bucket, whatever that bucket is, whether it's 50,000, 40,000, but if you were to get diagnosed with cancer, or let's say there was a massive stroke that happened and you were paralyzed, at least you would have a bucket to buy you some time so that you don't lose this property to foreclosure. And that's kind of my whole presentation is focusing on living benefits. And that's how, when I get a single person or someone that's even in their early 30s, I don't even think twice. I'm like, yay, because my whole presentation is geared to just protecting that client while they're alive.
Yes, very important. Elena said, if you didn't see Noelle's video where she starts to build rapport, talks about building rapport, is on the training center now, the virtual training platform. Really good stuff. So that's how you transitioning into it. I'm going to get started with that. You grab your driver's license. Patrick, are you texting to set your appointment? Sorry, go ahead.
I put my head down because a lot of times I'm working off of my phone. And so it's like, oh, she's, and they get up and even if it's a couple and they're like, we want to talk about that. Take your time. I've got a lot of stuff to do right now by getting this application started. Grab your license, and they come back. We're here. We have it. And
you're in charge and you care about them. You're showing them you're not a salesperson. You've talked about their needs. You're making sure that you're finding a way to meet it. You're fitting their budget, but you're no BS. You're like, okay, head down. I'm starting this up. It's late. I got things to do too. You're not here to talk all night. You're doing it right. You connected. You ran it by them again so it sinks in, and they know they're getting something good. They trust you.
Yep. Patrick, are you texting to set your appointments?
Yes, and actually, before I answer, I meant to say this earlier. Thank you for having me on this morning. Definitely looking forward to utilizing this information. So I really appreciate it. But yeah, all of mine are 100% texting. This week, I set 40 appointments for the whole week. I've still got 11 today and a couple more tomorrow and Saturday. And just like I said, my biggest problem is, I get started and they're like, well, what is this all about? And I'm jumping right into the numbers without the rapport. And I don't know how to tell them to slow down, let me build that rapport first so that I can explain it to them better. The ones that I've been able to do that with have been great. The ones that I'm jumping into the price, and I know that's my fault. I don't know how to fix that.
If they rush you, just go a little slower. Yeah. Just say, well, and then slow down. Don't let them push you, because that you just lost. So what's this about? Well, let me tell you. I'm just going to ask you a few questions, find out what you've got and what you qualify for, and just keep it. You're in control. You go slower, because don't let them speed you up. That just means you might as well just leave. They just told you, I don't respect what's going on. And I've done that too. When I set too many appointments or I feel rushed, then I get transactional and I don't make sales. So when you're with whoever you're with, give them all of you. if you're ready, just say, you know what, I'm just going to text my next appointment because I'm running a little behind, but you're my focus. I just need them to know this. Tells them two things. Number one, you're not the only game in town. But number two, I care about my people. While I'm with you, I'm with you. Just slow it down. They're not going to hear you fast. They're not going to understand fast. It just means it's dismissed. So slow it down and know that you're the expert and you just want to make sure they get it and keep it simple.
Patrick, what's your show rate? How many people are you having show?
So far, for the 3 days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I've had, let me look at my numbers here. I believe it was 14 out of 26.
Damn. It's not bad. 14 sits is a lot.
14 sits, and then 3 apps out of those 14 sits.
So
two of them was one house.
So I want to say this, Patrick. I see you on this call every day. Like, I see you on this call every day. You're gonna win, okay? You're gonna win. You're hearing this information every day. So you got a mantle inside of you, okay? It's just a little tweak that all you need, okay? So here's what I would suggest. All right, I coach hard. All right, is this your setup when you're on the call with people?
Yes.
All right, get back a little bit because you're up like this. Okay, get back a little bit. They need to see your face. You're a sharp looking guy. You're very well spoken. Okay, they need to see your full body to get relaxed. Me and Marsha used to be in homes and train before. You got to control where you sit. Okay, get in a relaxed atmosphere. Whether it was the front porch where we could all sit around and be relaxed, whether it was at the kitchen table or whether it was in the living room. Get relaxed where you can sit back and be relaxed when you talk, okay? So when they do say, what's this all about? Absolutely, that's what I'm going to show you, okay? My job is just to get you qualified, okay? So I'm just going to gather just a little bit more information to get you qualified. Once I feel like I know the appropriate plan you can get qualified on, then I'm going to show you the options, okay? And after that, it just becomes a budget issue, and it's got to make sense, right? So I'm controlling it. I'm getting them relaxed, okay? And then I go into my presentation. So whatever kind of setup, I would suggest make it big. Look at Marsha. I can see more of Marsha. I can see more Nicole. I can see all of my call. Get relaxed. It's the same thing as in home, guys. All right? We just got to do a little tweaking when it comes to the video. Get relaxed. I would get a little earpiece, too. If you can get a little smaller earpiece.
Yep.
Little earpiece, because they won't think, man, this is like I don't want to say telemarketer, but they don't want to think it's a telemarketer. It's a communication center, right? Get relaxed. You're a professional, right? So you're sharp, very well spoken. You're on this call every day. Just tweak that. Like Marcia says, slow down a little bit. Get relaxed. And dude, I'm telling you, man, you're doing the activity to get the appointments. Your sit ratio is high, okay? You just tweak that a little bit. That 3 apps on 14 sits is going to go to 5 to 6 apps. That'll change everything for you. Then it's going to go to 6 to 8 apps. So you're there, Patrick.
Yeah, Patrick, I think you already started to do it. I think you just moved your camera.
Yes.
So move it so they can see a little bit more of you.
Yeah.
Like you see with Nick, so they can see your hands and they can see your gestures. You know, they're not just seeing this head right here like this, and they're like, this is weird. Mike, call questions?
Hey, buddy. Yeah. Let me just jump in for a second. So, when I was brand new in this business, I had to start fast. I didn't have an option, and I started out having success pretty early. What happened was I quickly became transactional, and I got to the point that, I was sitting down. It was very easy to build rapport and connect with people. I was going through everything. We built the value. It seemed like it was going to work, and people weren't buying, or if they did buy, they would cancel. And I don't know if Nick probably even remembers this. This was way back, probably 8-9 years ago. And I sat down with the person I was working with at the time, and I met with him and his wife, and he said, okay, Mike, give me your presentation, present to my wife and I. And I did it, and she was like, Mike, that was really good. And he was like, yeah, it was okay. He's like, now, this is the only time you get to do this, Mike, but now my wife is your wife, right? And I'm going to present to the two of you. And I promise you, by the end of his presentation, we both had tears streaming down our face. And I think it goes back to, and I think that they're right on target, Patrick. You're just so close. There's a couple of different things when it comes to what we do. One, and we talk about this a lot on the building side. We talk about how the why is more important than the how, right? It's like, what is that going to do for the client? One of the things that he described to me in that meeting is that we're artists. Our job is to paint a picture. One of the things I hear us talking about on this call a lot is that we have to build the value, because if we don't, it's just another bill. I know that the way that my life is, as crazy as it is, as fast as I am, the way that we think, if I were to sit down and meet with somebody and then all of a sudden things got tight financially, I'm thinking, what can I cut? And that's like an extra thing. We haven't had it for a while. Right? It's like, well, crap, well, that's going to save me $100 right there. Let's cut that. That's $1,200 a month. And then what else can we cut? But when you're able to paint a picture, and how do you paint a picture? So when you're talking with them, I love what Nicole just said about how you set the proper expectations, right? When I sit down with someone and I talk with them, I let them know how the appointment's going to go. It's kind of like when you show up to church for the first time, if you haven't been there in a while or a long time, right? It's like, what are these people going to do with me and how long am I going to be here? It's kind of the same thing. In an appointment, your clients are probably thinking that way. It's like, what's going on? But when I can say, hey, look, I'm just a field underwriter. My job is just to ask you some questions. It's nothing that you're obligated to do, but I am required to at least make sure you know what's available to you. Now, look, I'm going to be asking you some personal questions, Patrick. Don't take offense to it. It's just so that I can have a better idea of how I can help you. If you were to go into a doctor, he's not going to give you prescriptions. He's going to do an assessment to see what's wrong. See, salespeople go in with a solution. We're going to go in and find the problem. And how can you find a solution? How can you show a solution if you don't know the problem? So when things get tight financially, and now all of a sudden they're thinking of expenses to cut, it's like when you paint that picture, Patrick, if I'm talking with Scott and Kimberly, and it's like, oh, Kimberly, okay, Kimberly, now look, I know things are going well right now, right? But Scott didn't come home tonight. He's done. He didn't come home. The sheriff just showed up at your door. You've got 2 little kids right there that you got to figure out what the heck you're going to do. Right? This is Daniel McCrae's story. Right? Daniel McCrae got into this business because his wife died a few weeks after childbirth, and he became a single dad and didn't have this kind of insurance. It affected his life that much. Now, all of a sudden, when things get tight financially, they go back to that picture because, like Nick says a lot, we think in, at least me, I'm sure most of us do on this call, we think in pictures, not in words. So if I say, hey, Kimberly, you know, the sheriff just showed up and right now you're looking over Scott in that casket, what are you going to do? Are you going to want to stay in the house? And here's the thing, if you're telling them that they need this, and if you're telling them why they need this, you're selling them. If you're asking them detailed, qualified questions that get them to give you an answer that doesn't lead to yes or no, then you're allowing them to buy. And people want to buy, they don't want to be sold. So if I were to ask you a question, Patrick, if something happened and your wife didn't come home today, would you want to stay in the house? Yes. Okay, well, yes, why? Know why, and then dig deeper. You've got to get to that pain. If you're not uncomfortable, they're not uncomfortable. One of the things I used to always coach my agents on is that you should feel the emotion welling up inside of you, because that's an energy that we can transfer to them. They need to feel it. If they don't feel the emotion, then it's a transactional sale. And if you make it when things get tough, they're not going to keep it.
Mm-hmm.
You already look better. Just a little small adjustment. I would
Just
make it
change the camera.
Yeah, I would make it just a little bit more. All right, dude. I'm
A little
telling
bit
you.
more.
Yeah, you're there, dude. You're there.
Yep, much better, much better. Hey, let's do this real quick. We're about to give away $500. Before I want to do that, Patrick, let me ask you this. I want you to. Well, let me ask you to do this. Track your people that don't show up. And here's what I want you to do. Let's identify the people that don't show up. How far in advance were they booked out?
Okay.
So were they booked the same day, the next day, 2-3 days out? Let's track that right there and see, because although your show rate's good, like Nick was talking about, I think with texting, I think we could increase your show rate by 20%. I think we could bring that up higher.
Yeah.
And so I think that's, since you're booking out more than a day or two, start to look at those and see where your no-shows are coming from.
Okay.
Also,
And I think we can get it higher.
if someone gives me a quick appointment, like I catch them in there at work, and they're a little dismissive, I'll put them in, but I'll double book them. Because they might not be able to talk while they're at work. That does happen. And sometimes they're just being a jerk and they don't want to do it and it's a blow off. So I'll write them in, but double book those. Pay attention to, if you're not on the phone for, you don't have to know about their whole life in that meeting. But if you don't connect a little bit while you're doing yours by text, I'm doing my live. So if you don't, you're going to know if you get someone who's just dismissive, that makes a big difference for me for setting them. I'm doing a mix of the two, so I still am a phone girl.
And I'm still booking for the same day.
Yep.
Oh, same day or just tomorrow, but not beyond that.
Yep. That's why I'd be curious as to where your no-shows are coming from, because I think with texting, we're seeing like an 80 to 90% show rate versus calling, it was about 35, 40%. And if you're booking it further out in advance, I'm curious with text, are you seeing those become no-shows? So just track that right there. Let's do this real quick also before we wrap up. Mike, can you go in there? If you go into the chat and you click on the 3 buttons to the right, you should be able to save the chat. That way you can have the questions for tomorrow that you can go through that we couldn't get to today. And if you can't get to it, it's okay. We'll email it to you, Mike.
Got it. Thanks, Scott.
You bet. Hey, Heather, save that as well. And were you able to save it, Mike?
I did, but I don't know if I can save the chats that come to you privately. I don't know if it's just the ones that we see.
You got it. I'll save them, Mike, and we'll send them to you.
Thanks, man.
So you can go through tomorrow. So tomorrow, Mike is going to go through all the questions we didn't get to today. Patrick, thank you, buddy. Keep track of that.
Thank you.
Let us know how
Thank
your numbers
you.
go. Give us an update next week as to how your numbers are going, and let's make some more tweaks if we need to. But here's one thing I'm going to do before we give away the $500. Somebody said, hey, can you tell me if my background is okay? So let's just check it out. This is a good one. Wendy, let me unmute you. And Heather, it's Wendy Delgado. There's Wendy.
Yeah, hi.
Hey, how are you?
Good.
Yeah, so, okay. So thank you for coming. So I love the background thing because we're talking about that right now, and it's really important. Coaches, any questions, comments about the background?
It's a little dark.
Dark.
Feels like you're sitting in a dark room. Find some light.
Yeah.
The one thing you can do is if you don't have lamps or anything else like that or something else you can put in the room, one thing that I use at my office, because you guys see my lighting's different today. I've got these inexpensive photography lights. You can get them on Amazon. They're a black light. They come on a stand, and they have like a white cover over the top of them so that softens the light. So when I'm at my office, I get a lot of people comment about, man, your lighting's really good. I just got a couple of those things off of Amazon. And I set them behind my desk. Ring light. There you go. Show that again, Nicole.
Right.
And it was like $15.
What's behind you? What is the stuff there's something on your table? You want to clear it out.
Wendy, what's behind you right there?
Turn around. What's behind you?
This is my
Stereo.
my phonograph.
Oh.
And those are my Bibles.
What's the thing next to it? The black thing.
Bibles.
Because you can't see the phonograph, but yeah.
Those are our Bibles.
Okay, Bibles are great, but yeah, the clear is good. It's just right there. You've just lightened the load.
Yeah.
That's good.
My husband just put on another light too. So did that help?
That did help. And look,
Yes.
to the right, there's like something in a box with a yellow or green to the behind you. Other side, turn the other way. What's that box?
Down below?
Yeah. Move it.
Oh, those are records.
Okay, move them out of the vision.
Okay. Wow.
You
Okay.
want to
Now
have clear and clean. You don't want them wonder what is she in what's there. You want it to be very clear. Like, see, we just see a picture with Nicole. Mine's okay, but it's better than it was before. So I'm dealing with what I've got. If you can move your records out of the way, and there's a silver thing to the bottom, you just want to not see a lot. You want the focus to be you. So there's a silver thing with red and a little green tinge beside your table. I would just clear all the little stuff away.
okay.
So all they see is a table, a lamp, and a beautiful gal ready to help them.
Oh, God bless you. All right. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Wendy. Okay, let's give away $500. Heather, it's all yours. Guys, don't miss tomorrow. Don't miss tomorrow. You've got a lot of questions to answer about, when do you get the banking information versus the driver's license. We're going to answer all those tomorrow. You guys are going to get some Mike Hall tomorrow. Mike Hall brings it.
Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes, Miss Glamour
I want to
Shots.
start with reminding everybody, happy birthday, Scott.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for all the birthday wishes also.
All your
Thank you guys
coaches.
very much. Thank you all.
Okay, so let's
I wouldn't miss this, though.
on. And she is. Heather, congratulations. $500.
Way to go, Heather!
Congratulations.
Heather, that'll be on your opt account today. You're going to turn that. That's $500, guys. Really, it's like $3,000 to $5,000.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations. Thank you for being on. Okay, everyone. We'll see you tomorrow. Go out there, text a whole bunch, book your day up. Thank you,
Happy
coaches.
birthday.
Great job as always.
Congratulations. See ya.